Jeremy Bentham, the father of utilitarian school of thought, was born in a well-to-do family of England in 1748. After his early education he entered the Lincoln's Inn in 1763. In 1769 he was called to the bar. However, Bentham was more interested in problems of social welfare. Therefore he gave up his practice of law and devoted himself to the study of the legal system with a view to effect reforms in the system. Bentham was greatly influenced by the American War of Independence and the French Revolution. Amongst the political thinkers he was influenced by Hume, Priestley etc. Bentham's ideas are contained in his works Fragments of Government, Essays on Political Tactics, Discourses on Civil and Penal Legislation, The Theory of Punishments and Reward, a Treatise on Judicial Evidence, Papers upon Codification and Public Instruction, Catechism of Parliamentary Reforms, Principles of International Law etc. According to Bentham, all the actions of man are motivated by the considerations of pleasure and pain. Every man tries to get pleasure and avoid pain. Bentham tried to judge the goodness or badness of human actions on the basis of the pleasures and pains. An act was right if it produced a surplus of pleasure over pain, and bad or wrong if it produced more pain than pleasure. He held that all the actions should be judged on the basis of the principle of utility. Bentham is generally given the credit of being the first to emphasize the principle of utility. This theory of utility, propounded by Bentham, exercised profound influence on the legislators and statesmen in the 19th century. Bentham discarded the concepts of natural law and natural rights and perceived law as an expression of the sovereign will. He regarded the concept of natural rights as nonsense because rights are created by the law of the state and could not have existed outside the state. Bentham regarded the state as an instrument for the promotion of happiness and pleasure of the members. He assigned only negative functions to the state and permitted the people to disobey the state if it failed to promote general happiness. As regards the form of government, Bentham considered that government is best government which promoted the greatest good of the greatest numbers. He considered representative government as the best government because it promoted greatest happiness of the greatest numbers. Bentham attached more importance to security rather than individual liberty. He held that security was necessary for social life and for moderate degree of human happiness. According to Bentham, the chief aim of law was to promote happiness of the greatest number. Therefore it was important that people must obey the laws. Bentham was highly critical of the existing judicial administration, especially the attitude and role of the judges. He favored the system of juries to check the despotism of the judges. He also paid attention to the reform of the criminal administration in England. He asserted that the purpose of punishment should be to reform the criminal and not to eliminate him. He was opposed to capital punishment and favored the idea of punishing the offenders in public. He pleaded for humane treatment of prisoners and suggested numerous prison reforms. Bentham attached great importance to education to effect improvement in mankind. The main purpose of education, according to Bentham, was to widen the knowledge of the pupil and to enable him to get the best out of life. Though critics of Bentham have alleged that he was essentially a legal reformer and hardly made any valuable contribution to political thought. However, other scholars would like to assign him a unique position among the European political thinkers. They regard him as top realist thinker who highlighted the glaring defects in the English society and made valuable suggestions for the removal of those defects. His theories of state and law were put forth with a view to their practical application. He tried to transform the existing institutions into instruments of general good. Though initially Bentham's ideas did not evoke much favor with authorities, but with the passage of time their wisdom has been established and most of the legal and parliamentary reforms advocated by them have since been carried out in England and other countries.